Hello and welcome back to another Bad Movie Reviews review hosted by your two favourite men from Down Under who love to put puzzles together. I don't know where I was going that, but I just thought Jigsaw, bang, we're going with it. If you haven't figured that out, we are reviewing none other than Saw X, or Saw 10 if you'd like to call it, being the 10th installment in the franchise. Even though when you think about it, it is a bit confusing because it is technically
Saw 2.5?
set in between the first and second movie.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But it is directed by Kevin Greutert, who also directed Saw 6 and 3D, and he's also edited this film as well. But yeah, it's give you the basic plot information without going into too many spoilers. Set in between the first and second film, and you see John Kramer? John Kramer, yeah. I was having a mind blank. I was thinking Kramer v. Kramer. You see John Kramer, who's obviously dealing with his cancer, and he tries to have a desperate plan and travel to Mexico for a dodgy, well, not so much dodgy. They sell it a treatment that would basically cure him. It doesn't. That's in the trailer. And then he's basically
Then he has
essentially has his revenge.
has a weekend away.
Yeah.
Just a typical.
as you know and love. But yeah, obviously there's been a lot of talk about this film because you do see Shawnee Smith as Amanda come back, as well as Tobin Bell as John Kramer. So there's obviously been a lot of love there, especially for the Saw fan base is quite dedicated, surprisingly.
Didn't actually believe how dedicated until we've watched this film.
There were a couple of applauses, but yeah, overall, obviously, I don't know what ones you've seen. I'll touch on it for me, but what did you overall think of the film? I know you love your horror. I wouldn't necessarily count this as a horror.
Yeah,
maybe more your gore porn or shock horror.
I think I've seen 7 or 8 of them, so probably enough of a sample size to hopefully make some evaluation. And I think I've always enjoyed these films, but I don't know if I've ever loved them. Not like the passionate blokes behind us that thought it was like seeing Luke Skywalker.
Well, I think most people who are fans of this film understand they're not like Amadeus or The Godfather. I think they understand that it's just a mystery. You're going to get your gore.
Yeah,
you know what you're getting yourself into.
There's some passionate fans out there. There's some passionate fans.
Horror's probably the most dedicated fan base.
Yeah, and the guys next to us thought it was the funniest film we'd ever seen in our life. So we had quite an interesting crowd at this film. But look, my thoughts, as usual, if you watch any of mine, normally I give you my straight up thought, and then I talk about what I like and don't like. But I'll give you the straight up thought this time. I thought, yeah, it was all right. That's where I'm going with that one. It was good but not great, or good but not good. It wasn't bad by any means. I feel like if you'd seen a Saw film, you're not going to be too, I think, surprised, because like, how many times can you see like a lot of messed up things before it's just normal? And that's kind of, I guess, for myself, being desensitized by obviously the first series of this and everything else that's happened over all the years when it comes to, similar kind of genre. I think I am slightly desensitized. So I would love to see someone's fresh look on this if they hadn't seen any of the films. But for me,
I think if they haven't seen these films at the 10th installment, it's probably for a reason. So.
Yeah, correct.
I don't know if that'll be happening anytime soon.
I guess when it comes to like the key important aspects that I think any fan that'll go watch this, what they care about is some of those awesome and creative traps and kills and all that fun stuff. And for me, I felt like that fell a bit short. It wasn't. I felt like I wasn't surprised. And I felt like it was over a bit quicker than I was expecting a lot of it. But look, some of it was pretty cool. It's always creative, but it was nothing like, I think, overly original. The first part of the film, first probably 25, 30 minutes really threw me off, to be honest, because I wasn't sure if I was watching some, a Man Called Otto. It had those kind of vibes at the start. We're talking about some depressed old man going through some challenges in life. And I was like, okay, is he going to get married now? What's the go? I was unsure on the direction of the film. And then obviously it came out and he came back as Jigsaw and continued to do the rest of his whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really captivated by any of the plot. It wasn't like too many excessive surprises for myself that really kind of made it elevated above all the else. I think 1, 2, and 3 are really stuck in my head of being like the exceptional level. And if nothing meets that or beats that when it comes to originality, I feel like it does drop a little bit short. And Love too. I love like that nice open concept where they kind of nearly elect themselves for these kind of tasks and traps and things. But yeah, I don't know. It felt like it didn't have enough. It felt empty. It felt like there wasn't enough depth to it. I don't know. That didn't feel like there was all that extra thought. You couldn't feel or see any of that normal kind of planning that's in advance and things like that. I don't know. It just dropped a bit shy for me. I don't know if acting I can really comment on anything because I don't feel like anyone usually in a horror film is a great actor.
They're all there. You know what you expect in a Saw film.
And John Kramer or Tobin Bale can just talk and I'll listen, and I'm happy with that. But I don't know if there was really any standouts or anything. As I said, this film was good, but it wasn't like great, but it wasn't good. It's kind of like a eh. But anyway, I'll throw this one over to you because I'd love to hear your thoughts because I was a little underwhelmed. I think.
Man, I actually seems like I disagree with you, to be honest. I actually thought this was one of the better ones by quite a way.
It's good content.
I do think the first and second one, like the first one is a genuine, seriously good film in general, like not horror film, just a seriously good film. Must watch. It obviously that one's very much set in one obviously situation. You don't get much of the gore that you do obviously now. The second one obviously expanded on that. Did the 3 Bs I like to talk about: bigger, bolder. I don't know if it was better, but bigger and bolder for sure. I can't remember the rest of them for the life of me, to be honest. I remember the recent one with Chris Rock, which was really weird, called Spiral. But no, to touch on it, the reason why I actually think this is probably one of the better sequels that I can remember is what you touched on, that there wasn't sort of much substance. I actually thought this probably had the most well-delivered plot probably since the first two, really. The previous ones don't really have much of a plot. It's just became a bit of a gore fest where it was obviously like copycat killers and things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, bringing back Tobin Bell, you're going to have a little bit of a win there, really. But I thought the plot itself, it actually gave you time. You kind of touched on the first 30 minutes. It actually gave you time to kind of connect with the characters, understand obviously all the character motives in this. Obviously, in the previous, it's kind of different to the previous films where they're in a trap and then you understand why, because it's like, oh, it's time to play a game. This is what you've done, and it kind of shows that. That flashback in what they've done, or because it's generally always bad people that are in these traps.
Always.
Whereas this film kind of switched it up a little bit and showed you completely as to why this is happening from the get-go. So there wasn't much of a twist like there is normally in the previous films. It was more just, I guess, it came kind of down to it. It was genuinely like a character drama with obviously just the fact that Saw was in it, which I actually enjoyed. I didn't think, as you said, the traps were that innovative or anything like that, but they were there. They were gross. They were gross. They always are, regardless of the fact that it's like desensitization from seeing them previously. It's not something you still want to see. And it is, I got to give props to the sound design, because the sound design is very...
I didn't even touch on any of that.
Unnerving at times, especially during the trap situation. Some of the sound actually made me kind of crease a little bit, more than the visuals. So I got to give props to the sound design there. But you know, the film's cooking when you hear the dun, 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 like the score theme come into play. I love that. I love that little piece of music. But no, I don't think, as I said, I don't think it's a masterpiece of any means. I think it's a serviceable, good film. I'm not going to sit here and be like, go see it. If you like the Saw films, you know what you're getting into. But I do got to give props, because I definitely think it's one of the better entries in quite some time, probably taking us back to almost 15 years, like 2005, probably from the third film.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember the fifth film being okay from memory, but the rest of them are really average, and that came down to plot. Because you watch some of the later films and you think these traps are sick, the gore's cool, all that, but it's like at the end of the day, if the film's good or not, it comes down to the plot.
Yeah.
Especially in these films. That's why the first film is so good, because the plot is unreal. There's not many there's not a trap. It's just the fact that it's a mystery that he's locked these two people in this room.
Yeah, 100%.
A bit of a twist. This film allowed that to happen. It allowed the character development, allowed the story to develop. You actually feel empathy towards Kramer, which I got to give props to. Like you kind of do feel bad for him in this situation, specifically, and you kind of almost want these people to die. Where I got to give it respect to that, because, as I said previously, you kind of have these traps, and I mean, feeling empathy for a serial killer who creates traps for fun and, like, you know, for get these people off the street, it's still fucked up. Don't get me wrong.
Get this man help.
Don't get me wrong, but no, I look, if you like any Saw film for that matter, I recommend seeing it. I think it's definitely one of the better, more serviceable entries in quite some time, and I think there's something for every person to enjoy. While I do think the traps aren't necessarily innovative, it's very hard once you're 10 in to kind of come up with really creative.
I don't feel like it was gory enough. I felt like it was timid.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The situation in the previous films, which is why I kind of wanted to touch on it, is you kind of start off with a trap, and then there's almost like 10 plus people in these traps, and it just keeps going and going. Game? So, like, all these previous films have had just constant people in traps, and then the story unfolds towards the last 5-10 minutes when that theme kicks in, and it's, you know, shows the flashbacks and the cool whip cuts and that scenario. Whereas this film was very different and fresh in the sense that it was very much more of there's very much more of a story here than the previous films. It allows the story to actually unfold to its, like, deserved ending, rather than having all these gory traps for fun and then going, oh, that's cool at the end. I felt like it kind of almost worked its way and kind of deserved and earned the ending that it did. There is a cool mid-credit scene sequence as well. But no, I think it's a serviceable entry, and I'm sure it'll make a lot of money. These films do. They're not sort of huge budgeted. They're like 10, 20 million, and they always make 150, 200. So they're always get
cool.
a, you know, 10 time return on it. So that's why they keep making them. But yeah, from the sounds of it, you enjoyed it. I thought it was decent.
Yeah.
I can't ring home. It's just not going to be in my top 10 films of the year or
20, 30. Maybe.
Yeah, like it was. When I say it's good, I'm talking in relation to Saw. Yeah. I don't necessarily think it's a good movie, because, like all other Saw films, you do have the iffy script, the iffy acting, some of the line delivery is really odd, but
best parts.
That's why I'm reviewing this film, because if you're watching it, that's why I'm reviewing the film in this way, because if you are watching this, you're probably a Saw fan, which I enjoy all the films, and I think they're a good time. This is just one for me, I think, a little bit better just because of the plot development and the character development. So if you have seen it, comment below, let us know what you think. And if you like what you hear or see from us, subscribe to see more.
Sounds great.